Hey everybody, Tom the Car Guy here, and today I want to go over some bad advice. I'm sure you've seen hundreds of YouTube channels devoted to it, hundreds of websites, blogs, video blogs, the whole 9 yards, devoted to beating the salesperson, beating the car dealership. Now, why do we want to beat the car dealership? Well, it's because of that stigma that my people created about the time I was born and before. The car salesman that is out to get you, they're ripping you off, and they're just bad people. Well, I don't see myself as a bad person. I try and help as absolutely much as I can, and I am honest to the tooth when it comes to buying a car. I'm going to give you all the information you need, and I'm not even going to demand you buy the car. Whether you buy it from me, down the street, a different manufacturer, or if you are watching this in California and clearly can't come up to my dealership, I want to help. So I'm going to go over some bad advice, and I watched a bunch of videos, I read a bunch of websites and blogs, and I got 10 pieces of bad advice that I read here. First one here is, best time to buy a car is at the end of the month. Everybody's heard that. I've heard it. I always have been trained and taught by my sales managers. Hey, call them. It's the end of the month. Get them in here. Yeah, I'm sure any of you have sold cars or have been to a dealership. You've seen it or heard it. But that's not necessarily true. So why is that not true? Well, because I need to sell cars every day. If my goal is, say, 30 cars a month, and I sell 15 at the beginning, 15 at the end, I don't really need to stress or push to get to that number. We are relieved, my management's relieved, and you as a customer don't feel pressured at the end of the month. At the end of the month, you're always going to feel pressured. I don't care where you go. I try not to do that. My management doesn't do that. But we're going to let you know this is why you need to buy today. It's just anywhere you go. Now, let's say I sell 20 cars at the first half of the month and 10 towards the end because I'm already that close to my goal. It's going to make the end of the month easy for me and quite simply less stressful for you. So there's the reason on that. Number 2, start your negotiations from invoice up. It's advice I've heard. It's advice that some of my sales managers in the past have told us to completely avoid at all costs because the dealership makes no money. Well, to be honest with you, dealership markup on a new car averages in the United States 4%. So you take that window sticker price and drop it 4%, and that's typically our invoice price. Now, granted, that's not the same on every car, and it's not necessarily the same in every market. So somewhere in that range is a car deal. Piece of advice, and this is something that I have done in the past, and I worked for a dealership where this is just what we did. I'd show you the invoice. This is what I paid for the car. This is what the window sticker is. If we meet in the middle, want to drive the car home? And we go from there. That is fair for you, fair for me. You get a good deal. We make money. We don't lose money. We don't look bad to the manufacturers. And me or the other salespeople, we don't look bad to our managers. So that's my best advice. Start in the middle somewhere. That is not necessarily 100% specific, car specifically available out in the public, but things like TrueCar have ideas on invoice, or at least very, very close to the invoice on the vehicles you're looking for. Here's another one. Number 3, don't buy anything in the finance office or the F&I office. Why is that bad advice? Tom, it's more money. I'm spending $35,000 on a car. Why do I want to spend more? Well, because just about everything in there has a benefit to you. Does it necessarily have a benefit to you in your specific situation? Maybe, maybe not. Are there dealers out there that do offer some products that just make no sense? Yes, like etching. I actually have it on my truck. I bought my truck used, and I have the VIN etching in all my windows. It's supposed to be a theft protection. If I tried to steal this truck, I've owned this truck for years. I honestly forget 99% of the time that it's even there. If I'm trying to steal something or somebody's trying to steal my truck, they're not looking. They don't care. That's a total ripoff. Now, gap insurance, guaranteed asset protection. I have another video specifically for that, so go check that out. But that is something that can make a huge difference in the future, and it can save you thousands of dollars, sometimes even tens of thousands of dollars. So at some point in your ownership, a lot of that stuff can help. I live in Michigan. We sell cars with rims where there is this much tire between the road and your rim, and we have potholes the size of Volkswagens here. So you hit that, you blow out your tire. Rim and tire protection can make your money, save your money, and pay for itself like that here. The bad piece of advice number 4, shop around. Everybody will tell you to shop around. Sometimes even dealers will tell you to shop around. I gave you the best price out there. Go shop it. I guarantee you'll come back to me. Well, why does that not necessarily make sense? Because we all pay the same amount of money for the cars. Every dealer can do the same deal. It just depends on the manager or your persistence. Now, as long as you've done your research and you're reasonable and you're not trying to get a $30,000 car for $15,000 out the door, don't be obnoxious with your negotiating. Be precise and be educated. You don't need to go to 15 dealerships. You really don't. We all have the same incentives. We all pay the same price for the car. If you're getting estimated quotes when you're doing your research of it's going to cost you $450 a month to buy the car, if you make an offer at $440 or $430, odds are we can probably do it. If that's your budget, that's your goal, just be realistic, and it'll save you a ton of time and a ton of headache driving back and forth or emailing or calling every dealership in Southeast Michigan. Number 5, bringing in a quarterback or a helper. I see a lot of kids, 18, 19, 20 years old, sometimes even older. I'm 27. I see people my age bring parents or friends or someone who worked in the car business to help them negotiate and get a good deal. Well, that's not necessary anymore. Back in the day, back in the 90s, sure, I'm sure it was necessary. You didn't know if the salesperson was trying to rip you off. You didn't know what was going on. Now everything is online. I'm doing this on my phone. Everything's right here on your hands at your fingertips. It's not necessary. Plus, odds are, and this is just my personal experience, those people that you brought in are almost just as clueless as you are to the situation and the process and what a car is worth and what it costs and why it costs that and how you get to those numbers. Find yourself a salesperson that is trustworthy. DealerRater.com. It's a great place to check it out. Go to the dealership's Facebook pages. Check that person to see if they have a dealer page on Facebook. Check Google reviews. If that person seems trustworthy, they're going to give you the answers. They're going to give you the information that you need to make the best choice for you. Number 6. This is one that I didn't really hear very often, but I found interesting. I heard it on one of these videos, and that is always test drive cars on the weekend. The salespeople are busy. They're not going to pressure you into buying a car. They're just going to hand you the keys and say, here you go, have fun. Not true. Most dealerships cannot let you leave without a salesperson. It's not our choice. It's not my manager's choice. It's the insurance company's. So if you're coming in to just go by yourself, you don't want the salesperson to bother you, it's not the best option. What do I recommend? Make an appointment during the week. Time where I have time, I can sit down and talk to you and go over the car. Weekends are typically the busiest time for salespeople, for dealerships. During the week, especially our late nights or like a Wednesday, Wednesdays are typically the slowest. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are typically the slowest at dealerships. You will get the best attention possible from a good salesperson on Tuesday or Wednesday, or sometimes even slower days where we're open till 9. So you're gonna have questions. Even driving the car, you're gonna have questions. And I recommend making an appointment, and that's number 7. Number 7, this is a good one. I love this one. It says, go in unscheduled at the end of the day because you're more likely to find a salesperson who is tired and doesn't want to haggle and just goes, here's my best price. Just, are you going to buy the car? That's not true. Can be, but for the most part, it's not true. Personal experience, what I've seen, whether it be this dealership, any of the others I've worked for, if you go in at the end of the day unscheduled and say, hey, who wants to sell a car today? You're more likely to be pushed out. I don't do that. I'm going to sit there with you. Even if my manager closes the doors and shuts the lights off, I'll stand outside and talk to you. I'll make sure you get all the information I can possibly give you. Why do I say that? Because when you do that, odds are we work 70 hours a week, 60 hours a week. We're tired. We want to go home. We want to spend time with our families, and when you come in late like that, it takes that time from us. Now, granted, if that's the only time you have that is available for you to come in, call ahead, make an appointment. Say, hey, I have to come in. I get off work at 8:30. I can get there at 9. Can you help me, please? Be nice about it. If you're nice, you will help yourself more than you will help the salesperson. Because if you call me and tell me you work from 12 in the afternoon, 12 p.m. till 8:30, I'm going to sit around. I'm going to help you. I'm going to do what I can do. Or at least try and find another time that'll work best for you if that day we can't. Are you more likely to get a better deal at that time? No, because those salespeople are irritated, and odds are you're just going to get kind of figuratively pushed out. Here's a brochure. It'll cost you somewhere between $350 or $450 a month to lease that with employee discount. Come on in when we're open during our scheduled open time, and we'll get you an exact price. So, can it help? No. Another one. This is one I love. This is one I have heard for years on every single one of those lists that I mentioned, the websites or videos. Here's one that is priceless. This is arguably the worst one that you can listen to. And that is, don't mention your trade-in until you already negotiate the car that you want to buy. Well, why can that be a problem? Why would you not want to? And that is several different reasons. Some of the keys being time. Everybody complains about how long they're at dealerships. That's the number one complaint I've ever gotten in this car business. It takes too long. And a lot of times that's on you, the customer. It's not on us. We want to get you in, get you out, and get you going so I can grab the next guy. That's how we make our money. Whereas with you as a customer, you want that attention, and we're more than willing to give it to you. Especially me. I love the attention. I love making sure people get the answers that they need. But the biggest complaint is nonetheless time. Why does that waste time? Because if I go to my manager, say, hey, let's just say hypothetically I go back and forth twice. I don't like doing that. I want to give you my best price up front. If you give me all the information I need up front, I can do that. Now, if you wait till later on in the conversation to change your mind or add things or something you hid from me, if you forgot, that's one thing. But if you intentionally hid it, that it just takes more time. You don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste our time. And I don't want this to sound bad, but you should be kind of schmoozing the salesperson. We're the middleman. I don't get paid unless you buy a car. My manager wants to make the money. You want to save the money. And I just want to sell the car. So if you're schmoozing me, I'm going to work him a lot harder than I'm going to work you. I'm not saying go buy me a beer. I'm not saying buy me lunch. I'm fat. But, be nice, be polite, and just give all the information up front. I can give you exact figures like that. It takes 10, 20 minutes. And if the numbers make sense, you're out of the dealership in an hour. Bet you haven't heard that before. Number 9, test drive the car after negotiating the price. Time out. This is one I've never heard before. I've seen it on 2 videos and 1 website. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Personally, if I'm going to buy a car, I want to drive it before I even talk about the price. I want to make sure, obviously, that it's in my budget range. So I'm going to do a little research before I get there. I'm going to read up about how people feel about it, people who have owned them. but I want to drive it. Because if I sit there and negotiate for an hour and I finally get a price that I think is fair, and then I go and drive it and I hate it, I just wasted an hour of my time as the customer. You would waste an hour of your time as a customer. Now I either have to go drive the other one or a different car or go to another dealership and do it all over again. So I think that's ridiculous, especially on used cars. I swear if you come to me and tell me I don't want to drive it, I know what it drives like, and it's a used car, I'm going to laugh at you. I'm going to yell at you, because that is, and I'm sure it's not because it's a way that you feel, it's a way you've been trained, and it's just ridiculous. I'm not going to be mad at you, but I'm going to explain to you that that's really dumb for many reasons, especially on a used car. When you're driving a car around the lot or on the road, you can hear the squeaks, rattles, dings, clunking. If the engine sounds funny, you step on the throttle and it makes a funky sound. You're gonna lose out. You don't want to go sit there and negotiate on a car and then get out there and it be a pile of crap. That just hurts you. Number 10, only focus on price. I've seen this everywhere. Only focus on price. Only focus on price. Well, don't talk about payment. Focus on price, because that's how you save your most money. Kinda. Why do I say don't do that? Because $350 is a great payment unless you hate the vehicle. They always tell you don't fall in love with the car. That's how the salesperson's got you. You fall in love with the car, they got you. They own you. That's dumb. The car is where we spent a lot of our lives. Personally, I've put 65,000 miles on this vehicle in just a couple of years. So I'm over 30,000 miles a year average on this thing, just above. I spent a lot of time in this truck. I did exactly what it says here. I didn't think about it. I took a quick test drive. I didn't think about it. I didn't sit in it and feel super comfy. Now, granted, it's a fantastic truck. I love my 4Runner. But now that I spent so much time in it, I realized for me and my size and the way I like to sit, it's a little uncomfortable for me. And does that ruin the ownership for me? No, but it doesn't make it quite as enjoyable. So don't only focus on price. Sure, if you can get a $350 a month car payment on a car, that's a great payment. That's fantastic. But are you really wanting to make that payment on something that you absolutely hate? Probably not. Another thing, don't focus just on price. Look at payment. They tell you don't focus on payment because that's also how the salesperson gets you. Well, some people want a little bit more for their money. Now, there are people out there who have a specific budget. They can only spend $10,000. That's what they're approved for. That's different. But if you focus on price specifically and you're not in that situation, maybe you're missing out on a couple features that you could love. Some of these cars these days have massaging seats. Some of these vehicles have the 360-degree camera. So it's got the cameras in the mirrors, the front bumper, and the rear bumper, which it makes parking land yacht-sized vehicles like, say, for example, a Suburban or a Navigator or an Expedition, makes it super simple. I'd rather park one of those than one of those the little Fiat 500s or a smart car, because it's so simple. There are some people who are maybe a little older who can't turn their head and see in their blind spots. Blind spot monitor. It might cost a little more, but if it's still in your monthly payment budget, but it costs you a couple $1,000s more to get that safety package, you have the peace of mind of having it for only a few dollars more, and it makes sense to you. Third row seats. Some vehicles don't have third row seats, but if your kids play sports, you might need that extra spot, or might need 2 extra spots. And you don't want them sitting on the floor in the car. That's illegal and frowned upon, Dad. But that third row might cost you an extra $10 a month to get the third row. But if you don't get it, you save, $10 a month. It's not a lot. It adds up, absolutely. I'm not saying it doesn't add up. But if you're doing a short term, especially on a lease, if it's $10 a month on a lease, it's a super short term, but you get all the features and everything you want, it can make sense. So those are my 10 things. I know I kind of ramble a little bit on some of them. So if you have questions or want to know a couple more reasons on why I recommend these are bad pieces of advice, message me, comment, check out my Facebook, hit me up, let me know, hey Tom, I saw the bad advice video and I just want to let you know I thought it was great, but I want to know more about why you think I should go in and not only focus on price, or why you think I should potentially buy something in the finance office. So with that being said, hit me up, like, subscribe, share. This is great information. You know, the stuff that I wish people would have told me when I bought my cars. It's something that I wish more salespeople would express to their customers. But it's also some things that I wish these guys who make these videos and post these things online would stop telling people. It doesn't hurt us as the salespeople. It doesn't get one over on the dealership. It hurts you. And it's unfortunate. And it gets them tens of thousands of views and likes and shares and comments. But you as the customer can potentially be, hurt by it. One more thing. Here, I got a bonus for you. Here's another one. We'll call it number 11. So I got some notes down here. I'll call it number 11. That is shop tons of dealers. So I've heard a story, and it was